Well, hello, and thank you for joining us for our November Lunch and Learn. I'm Jenna Klinner, the service coordinator for the WiscWeb team, and I'm joined here by Matt Goins and various members of the team, including our developers. Let's see what we have today. Here is our agenda for this session. We will start with some quick updates and reminders for you. Next, we'll do a little review of our current roadmap so you all know what we're working on. Then we'll do some demos. And the first will be a demo of the narrowed width option that was added to the customizer. It's an optional site-wide setting. The second is a demo of the new link option for the image page element. And finally, we'll take a look at brand.wis.edu's site redesign and share some of our favorite new content. We have a couple of updates and reminders for you today. First up is a reminder. Events calendar was deactivated on all sites on October 31st. I just wanted to send my sincere thank you to everyone who was impacted by this change. I recognize that changes like this are never fun or easy, and when we are required to make changes like this, I often think back and reflect on when I was a user of this service and consider what the change might mean to me, and that helps level set on things like impact and timeline and communications. But with every update that we make, we are learning about how best to manage the process, and your feedback is very important to us there. It helps us learn and grow and improve. So if you have feedback for us on the process, please feel free to drop it in the chat. If you'd prefer to remain a little bit more anonymous, feel free to send a direct message to me here in the Zoom. But yeah, we really appreciate your input. Thank you so much for going through that journey with us. I know it wasn't fun, but yeah, thank you. I will let you add content to the chat if you'd like. Additionally, as emailed earlier this week, we have upgraded our environments to PHP 8.1. If you notice any issues, please submit via our customer support form on our website. So far, we haven't received anything that looks like it was impacted by this change, but it is something that can have small impacts for users, and we want to make sure to catch those and fix those for you. An early little reminder is that we always set a final launch date for getting your sites launched in the current calendar year. We typically set this for a few weeks before the holidays. This year, the last day to submit your request for launching is December. Is in December, is Friday, December 8th. Sorry about that. All launches submitted after that Friday will go live sometime in the new year. We like to note this with folks just so that they have awareness that due to the holidays, we have limited capacity, and that does impact our scheduling for these. So if you're really hoping to get that site launched before the end of the calendar year, please do submit that before December 8th.
I'll also just add in here, we know that a number of people look to launch sites like directly as the semester starts as well. The earlier you can let us know when you want to launch a site, the better off it is that we can make sure that we are properly staffed to do that launch process, because of the way that holiday vacations and the number of people that we rely on as this process goes. We would just want to make sure that if you know for certain you want to launch your site on January 7th, go ahead and get your launch request in, get it scheduled. There's nothing that says you can't reach out to us and say, you know what, we need to push it back a few days. It's okay to be prepared sooner rather than later, just so, like I said, we can make sure that we're ready on our end to help you out.
Thank you, Matt. A final update is that it appears that WordPress is making improvements to the media library in WordPress core, which is very exciting. There's some neat new features that look like they're on the docket. among other possible updates, it looks like they're heavily investigating the opportunity to create some sort of folder structure in the media library. And I mention this because I think one of our top voted, if not the highest voted feature request in our board right now is related to having some sort of like categorization or folder option in the media library, which we totally understand. We actually had begun discovery into that and found some possible solutions. Um, but we have chosen to pause this effort as it looks like Core will be adding something for this in the near future. Um, we will keep an eye on that, certainly. Um, but we wanted to let you know that that is why we have paused that effort. We are aware that it is a high need, but we do think that it is beneficial for that to be something that is part of core rather than us pushing something out that ultimately could get like overwritten by that change. So we will continue to add notes to that feature request as we are able. We can also continue to update here in the Lunch and Learn. Um, but that is, I think it'll actually be exciting. It sounds like other things that they're considering is stuff like alt text. So we're definitely keeping a close eye on that. I know that some of you in this session are impacted by that, as you have, maybe a ton of media on your site. So I'm just going to pause here in case there are any questions about that. So feel free to add to the chat if there's anything you're wondering about, including anything else I shared.
If the question is, should I be using alt text? The answer is yes. You should be using alt text.
Yes. All right. I'm not seeing anything come through, but feel free to add if you think of anything, and I'm going to move along for now. So next up is talk about our roadmap. Our roadmap is always stacked. We're working on a ton of stuff at the moment. This is a snapshot view. This is not a comprehensive list. For example, there is always a bunch of infrastructure related stuff that we have going on in the background with things like performance and security. But those are a little bit more challenging to explain. And so I try to keep this something that is very approachable. But here are some things that are a little bit more shareable. So with events calendar going away and PHP 8.1 launching, we have some cleanup steps related to both of those. Removing a plugin involves so much more than just deactivating it on sites. So we're doing cleanup steps there. And there's always backup cleanup involved related to PHP releases that we'll be working on through the next few weeks. So we take a look at our logs, we find out where there might be errors, and then we make tweaks to things like child themes or maybe like UW theme based on what we're seeing in the logs. So that will continue. WordPress Core 6.4 was released on November 7th this week. We never deploy these updates immediately because we want about a month to do testing internally before we release them to our sites so that we are aware of what might, impact us and our users. We can put fixes in place if we need to. So our tentative plan is to release that update to your sites around Tuesday, December 12th, but that is definitely tentative, as I said. Our team is continuing to do discovery in Gutenberg to see what we can learn about that new platform. As a reminder, Gutenberg is the new editor for WordPress. Based on user research, we are aware that groups are looking for more best practice guidance. So we're hoping to collab on some ideas for this in December, ways of kind of getting you more of that content. We showed this new feature at the October session, but we're continuing to test and refine the global CDN option that we built. Eventually, we'll move sites to CDN or with CDN to that approach, potentially network activate it so that all sites will inherit that ability. As a reminder, CDN just gives a little bit of a performance boost for your sites on the front end. Speaking of new features, we're currently working on a few things. Anytime I'm sharing examples of new features we're working on, there's always the slight possibility that it's something that we can't fully deliver on because something comes up. So I always want to preface that just in case there's something that restricts our ability to push this out in the future, but The things that we're working on now are an image-only carousel. So this is different from the existing image carousel in that it doesn't require you to have text next to it. I think if you're thinking of the image carousel, there's like an image and then text alongside it in sort of like a shared view. This would be very specific to just imagery, kind of like an alternative to a gallery. So that's very exciting. We also are looking at an option to reduce padding between content layouts. So that is a top feature request. We believe that we will have something that can allow you to kind of make that a little bit narrower so that you don't have such big amounts of white space between content, which is great. And then we're also adding a field for speaker and guest info to UW events. That was also a feature request. And we are continuing to look at all feature requests for UW events as well, just noting that we are definitely keeping an eye on those and hoping to beef up that plugin over time. Pausing here, we have a question in the chat. Will the image only carousel be available for posts or only pages? It is only available for pages. Any page elements we're adding are require the page builder functionality that's built into pages. And currently in the UW theme, that is not something that is available for posts. So yes, it would only be pages. Great question. And then finally, twice a year, our team focuses on professional development so that we can learn a little bit more about new areas of interest. This helps us advance our skills, try new things, and build out new features. So we will be working on that as well. It's a really nice time for us to just keep improving. All right. So I will pause there in case there are questions. Feel free to throw them in the chat if there's anything you'd like to talk about.
I was going to follow up on Lauren's question because while the image carousel is a page element that would only be available via pages, I'd be curious to know what you're looking to do in a post because I think we have a KB doc out there. I'm starting to search for it now and I'll grab it if I can. But you can actually add what is called an image gallery to a post via the add media button. So if you're just looking to add a group of images in a formatted way, you could do that via the image gallery media option in a post versus what an image carousel would end up being. So
Yeah, I can actually show that since I'm in here. We all can see that. So I'm just gonna like add a new page here. So what Matt's talking about is, actually I should be in posts. What am I doing? I'll add a new post. This is my test environment. Please disregard all the weird test titles and content I have in here. But if you're in your post and you select add media, you do have the option to create a gallery. So you can select a number of images here, which is always harder when you have Zoom on because they get in the way. And then if you publish, and view post, there they show up and you can kind of click into it. That is native WordPress behavior, though it is not influenced by the theme. Yeah, so we have another question in here from Caitlin. Will you just be looking at reducing the padding between content layouts or page elements as well? At this time, only content layouts. That is a great question. So this feature, yep, it would just allow you to change it between content layouts. So like if you're looking at this page, this area up here would be one content layout, this would be another. So it would be like this space right here, if that helps. Other questions? All right, well, we will do our next demo then. So in the latest version of the theme, we added the option to set narrowed width. We got really mixed feedback on whether or not folks wanted this feature, particularly being enforced everywhere. And the feedback we got was like, there were a lot of folks that really wanted it. And then there were a lot of folks that were like, I definitely don't want this. Please don't make it a requirement. And so what we did was add it to the customizer as an option. So I'm just going to show you for folks who are interested in this, how you can turn it on. So if you go to customize, And then we are going to page settings. Yes, page settings. And then you would just check this box that says reduce the width of text blocks to 800 pixels. Um, this does, as it notes here, improve readability. This only applies to text-based content in a one-column layout. It does not apply to two-column layouts or three-column layouts. So you don't have to worry about that. And this site is an example of what it would look like when this is set. So you can see here that the text has narrowed, and down the page, you could see here, well, this isn't a very long title, but here it is narrowing. And then down here, this two-column layout is not impacted. This two-column layout, three-column layout, like these other areas do not get impacted by this change. But if you were to look at, let's see, I'm trying to think of see if our Harry Styles page has any. Here's an example right here. This content is narrowed. I don't know what I was testing here. Disregard that random form I tested. But like I said, two-column layouts just fine. Yep, Matt put instructions in the chat there for this feature. It's a really nice option. I know it's very new to folks, but I think you will start seeing this more and more on campus. It's just a kind of standard approach. Sorry, let me go back to my real homepage here. A standard approach to improving readability, and it appears to be becoming more industry standard. So feel free to play around with that and let us know if you have any questions. I'm also going to show you the other new feature that rolled out in the UW theme release, which is a link option for the image page element. So if you use the image page element, you'll know that it's not available in a one-column layout, but I have a two-column layout here that I added the image page element for. So if you look here, it's just called image in the page element list. And you can add an image. I'll just drop one in here. And then now you have this handy image link option. You can choose to have no link. You can have it open, or you can have a custom link. I'll just link this to, oops. But that option was based on a feature request that came in and turned out to be a pretty simple ad. So we added that for you. So now if I click on this, it will take me to that URL that I added. Any questions? All right. Oh, looks like there might be something. Is there an option to open in a separate window or tab? No. So by default, we're not usually adding that option. And the reason is accessibility. So when content opens in a new tab, that's not always something that is kind of that the user would be made aware of when they're navigating with a screen reader. And so it's kind of a jarring experience if you are using a screen reader because you don't know that the content is just opened in a new tab. So we really don't recommend that approach for that reason, unless you were to like note next to your link that it does open in a new tab. It looks like Andrea's dropping in some accessibility content related to links. Great resource. I think it's from the Center for UX on accessibility for links. But yep, that is why we did not add that option. Good question. All right, so I'm going to close out of these. And then the next thing we wanted to share was this amazing redesign that the folks at University Marketing did for brand.wisc.edu. If you haven't checked it out yet, they have a beautiful new site here filled with some really nice treats that can help you in building out your site. I've made an attempt to create tabs for some of the things that I think are kind of noteworthy, and I'll walk through them today, but I'm happy to click on other things if there's anything you see that you want me to select here. All right, so the first thing that I think is kind of cool is they've got this new page about diversity. And within this page, they have links to the Inclusive Communications Guide here and the Inclusive Language Guide, which I think is really nice. They also have a statement on diversity, land acknowledgement, and, like things like additional resources. So neat little addition there. Clicking links from Zoom is wild when you're sharing. So apologies if it feels a little off. It's because my tabs are being overlapped by the Zoom settings grouping here. So switching over to this page, they have a new page on typography. It talks about the new primary typefaces, Red Hat Display and Red Hat Text. And they also have links for how to download them, which within WiscWeb, this is already handled for you, but I'm just mentioning it in case you have other things that you work on, maybe a custom site or something else where you might need these fonts. Beautiful images here showing kind of what they look like. Um, let's see. They also talk about the supplemental typefaces. And it notes here some language specific typefaces. So for awareness, there's a couple of languages on campus that are frequently used, like Chinese, Nepali, and Tibetan, that don't present well in Red Hat fonts. And so they have kind of like fallback options. Within WiscWeb, you have documentation for how to translate to these languages if you use them on your site. It is simply for those three languages, Simplified Chinese, Nepali, and Tibetan. Does not translate your content to those languages. It does not translate to other languages. It is simply a plugin that builds in some technology that will create those fallback fonts should you need them on your site. And then this knowledge base document walks you through how to set those. So I'm thinking like I know the provost office uses this. There might be other groups that have to translate to these specific languages at times. And that is a nice resource for you. We are also happy to help if you um, find that you're not able to work through that KB documentation. The next link here is graphic elements for digital. This is a nice little package that you can download for digital use. I would say like periodically, I don't know, Matt, how often you get asked, but periodically folks are looking for like little flourishes or icons that they can use in their designs, their graphic designs and things like that for their site. And this is one of those things that is made available for everyone. It comes with like Illustrator and PNG formats. Um, it kind of walks through how you should use them. And it has this link, this icons for digital, which has these cute little icon packages that are available for use here. Again, it walks you through how to use it. Exit out of that. And then it has illustrations for digital, which are cute little buildings. Just love it. I'm seeing a question in the chat. If you want to create / use a custom background choice for content layout, what are the suggested dimensions for the image? That is a great question. I would think that the width would still be 1600, but I don't know if we have recommendations specifically for the height. That might
Yeah,
be
the
something
height
that,
is it's a difficult thing to answer because of the way that the theme centers things within the uh, column layouts. So the um, the width would always be 1600 pixels wide because of the fact that you don't want to create pixelization of your images. So always start at 1600 wide, but then it centers the image. And so you may not have appear what you actually want to appear in that background. So it works very great with like standard like colors or I can't think of the word I'm looking for there, but graphical type things instead of trying to use an image, a solid or not a solid, but like a photograph as your background, because you can't really dictate where it's going to center at specifically. So I don't know. That's what I have to say about that.
yeah, I dropped a note into the chat there. We do have guidance on other things in terms of sizing. So I put that in there just in case folks weren't aware. Um, and I think that's something that we can look into and see if we can get some guidance on background images.
Yeah. So I mean, as is the case with hero images as well. Hero images, honestly, any image. Hero images bottom content, the hero that you can put at the bottom of your site, at the bottom of your page, I should say, and then using it as a background image. You always want to make sure that the image is 1600 pixels wide so that if it has to increase height, it doesn't pixelate the image. A lot of times we have sites that they try to just jam an image into a place where it doesn't work. And so it'll stretch it and then it'll stretch it this way. And then it looks bad. And also be critical of your own images that you use. If it look at an image and know that it might look bad and change it, not putting a bad image out there.
Yeah, so Caitlin made a clarification there, which is very helpful. So Caitlin was thinking more of a pattern versus an image like the brand site has on the homepage. I think that that is something I'd love to learn more about how they approach that. So I think that's something we can definitely look into and then potentially just present at another lunch and learn. So thank you, Caitlin. Yes, I will be talking about that, Matt. So I'll kind of go into that. That's actually next.
Okay.
Photography is the next tab, which is really cool. They have this great new photography page. Has some, it just shows like the beautiful images that our photographers take on this campus, like just gorgeous photography. This is all available, if you didn't know, in the campus photo library, which has a link here now on the brand site. There's some instructions and guidelines here for use, but generally, a great resource for your website if you need imagery. I know a lot of groups don't have like a photographer on hand that can take specific photos, and sometimes there are very nice photos in this library. Um, of things that you might need on your site, like maybe a picture of your building or something, or just, students walking. So there's that. And then also they added this additional area for the other campus photo collections that you might not be aware of, which I had no idea there were that many. And it's really nice and handy to have that all on that page. So it looks like Matt's just adding those links there. Yep. We also do have, for awareness in our knowledge base, this photo resources. Did you put that in there already, Matt? I can throw it in there.
I did not know. Sorry.
Oop. This used to be on our website, but we moved it to the knowledge base because we found that people search this more for those kind of things. So we linked to the campus photo library as well. There's this nice Do It Communications icon library, which is slightly different from what University Marketing provides, but also has downloadable icons that you can use on your site, as well as some stock photo links, ways to do placeholder imagery, etc. So if you're looking for images, photos, we've got you covered. The next page here is about how to apply the brand on the web. There's a little note here about WiscWeb. They have these nice links about how to optimize your web experience. I mentioned this because we do get requests for like guidance on how to build a good site. And these are great links, making it accessible, making it user-friendly, and making it look good. Those are all three things that I think our users can find very helpful. So pointing those out in case they're useful to you. There's some resources here for developers. And then there's the note, this is always on the site, but now it's located here, which is the minimum web or minimum requirements for web standards on campus. And then I'm also just noting, since we were talking about social media earlier, and I do know that a lot of folks are using different social networking tools, there is a page now on applying the brand on social media. So there's some guidance here, and they also even make available these beautiful little avatars that you can use on your social networking sites, um, which I don't know if they had these before, but I have never seen them, and I think it's great. It also gives some guidance on, account names and how to write your bios, which is helpful, and recognizing special occasions. And then the last thing I want to show you is this tools and templates. We've kind of gone through some of these, but they made it really nice by creating this sort of gallery here where you can kind of search for things based on your needs, based on category. And yeah, depending on what you're looking for, should all be here. Great little, image packs and things like that that you can use, which is awesome. Any questions about the brand redesign? Anything you want to see again or look into on the site? I'll pause here.
I'll just say we've Jenna and I get this question quite a bit. This is not brand specific, but it made me think about it since we've been talking about social media stuff. We know about the Twitter versus X conversation. It's a conversation that we're having with marketing to update the theme. We know about it. It's we're just
Yeah.
we haven't come to a decision about how we're going to implement it into the
Yep. Sounds like there might be some conversation happening about that at a higher level that impact um, things like the UW theme. So we are definitely aware, and we will keep you informed as we learn more about that.
theme. It's not that we're ignoring it. We just haven't had a decision made.
Yeah. All right. Well, those are the big things that I wanted to cover today. Any topics that folks had questions on that they'd like some insight on? Pause here in case there's anything interesting. I'm gonna stop sharing though, so I can see y'all. Why a group today? All right. Well, how about this? Oh, looks like it's someone. Okay. Thanks for sharing all these great resources. Yes, absolutely. Yes. That kind of brings me to my next question. So I don't have this as a poll because I really wanted it to be open-ended. Um, hmm. Matt, how do I create a QA question?
Oh,
Maybe
how
this
do
isn't an open question. Do I
well,
do I had to have created them ahead of time?
no, because the QA is for us. It's not for yeah. The
Gotcha.
poll the
We'll do
poll
it
is
in
for,
the
yeah, the poll is for public. The QA is for
We'll do it in the chat then. Sorry, I'm still learning about Zoom. Something I'm really curious about is what do you want to learn more about in these lunch and learn sessions? Like what information is valuable to you? Um, what would you like to see us do more of or less of potentially? Um, what is helpful for you? We really want these to be valuable sessions. We're sort of guessing at what we think might be important, things like updates to the service, new features, our roadmap, things like that. But we really, are interested in your input there as well. So I'll put that question in the chat, but please feel free to start adding what you want to see. So this is your opportunity to help inform future sessions. Please don't be shy.
more sunshine on my head.
All right, thank you, Peter. Thank you, Megan. So Peter says new features, roadmap, resources like the review and brand. .wacidity was nice. All right. Usability best practices, web design, layout best practices. Okay, cool. This was my first lunch and learn session. Can you give some examples of what you've talked about at previous sessions? Yes, I can. So in previous sessions, very similar format. If we have updates that we think will impact you and your ability to like edit your site or anything like that, we share that information. We typically like to do our new feature demos in these sessions where we can kind of do it live, answer questions, show you the knowledge-based documentation, things like that. So if you're interested in new features, this is where you should come because we can show you exactly what has rolled out or what's coming. Um, I've started adding the roadmap stuff to our slides because I think it's valuable to show the breadth of what our team works on. It's not just feature development, it's so much more. Um, because I think that helps set the tone for like why why things might not come out immediately because we're doing other stuff. I think it's also just a great opportunity to chat about what we have going on and be really transparent with you all. We're always open to feedback on that. So if you're seeing something and you're like, why are y'all doing this? Like that's something we definitely want to know about. Those would be the major things, I think. Ooh, we have tons of stuff coming in. Let's see. I like when you show examples of good designs and sites you like. I will say I did not share this, but I think the brand.wis.edu site is a great example of use of the UW theme. So today with that demo, you got some really nice layouts within that site that are handy for examples. We will continue to share those as we find great examples for you, certainly. Thank you. Um, Something for individuals that are new to campus or new to your services. That is a really great idea. I will reflect on that. If you have anything
Um,
specific there, I'd love to learn more.
so
Go
I'm
ahead.
answering Audrey. Audrey asked a question about video walkthroughs, the YouTube channel. So I don't really have a very specific page, but I'll share my screen real quick just to highlight. So from our service page, under training, there are three things there. There's the Canvas course, which anybody can sign up for, which basically is the general training for WiscWeb, how to do things, how to manage page elements, how to build a page, how to build a site. Very generic, very basic. There are training videos that exist. Oh, I got to get rid of that. Note to self: events calendar doesn't exist anymore. Um, there are training videos on how to use a number of different things, like some of the plugins that we use, as well as some of the older user experience conversations that we've had. These are out of date, though, especially like the Google Analytics stuff, because we're at GA4 now. So I need to go through and curate this a little bit better. But then also under the Learn with Matt, there are a number of things there about stuff. Um, and again, I say stuff kind of broadly, mainly because of the fact that like I kind of just talk about general user experience, general how to do things, how to make a stronger homepage, that type of stuff, how to use some of the plugins that we use and things like that. So we have a number of video type things that exist. We also have our knowledge base, which has a lot of instructional information in there, a lot of step by step type information. And really, at the end of the day, the biggest thing that I'll say is if you're ever interested in just a conversation about how to do something, or if you have a thought about how to do something, but you're not sure how to go about implementing it, just sign up for some office hours with Jenna or I, or just reach out to me and we can set up some time not office hours related. And I'm more than happy to kind of like do a little consult type thing. That's what I mostly do these days with WiscWeb is I kind of just chat with people about how to improve, how to, do better user experience and things of that nature. So if you're just interested in learning or trying out some different things, that's definitely something that I would say reach out to me or Jenna about specifically.
Yeah. Looks like there's also a note about accessibility specific to our WISC websites and images. Yes, we are
Yeah.
trying to work accessibility guidance more into our knowledge base documents. So as we find out about a tool maybe that has had an accessibility evaluation and we have notes about it that we want to share, we're definitely adding those. But as we learn about stuff, we will add that as well. There are great tools or I guess guidance on campus on the IT site. I'll see if we can get that link in there, but there's really great accessibility guidance on campus. If you're not already part of the design community too, that's another great opportunity. That's on our website as well. I'll get that link. There's wonderful communities of practice. I'll give it a shout out to Design Community, Digital Accessibility COP. Sorry, COP is Community of Practice, Google Analytics Practitioners Group, and the WordPress Users COP Community of Practice. Those are all located here on our web. Sorry, did that go in? Yeah, okay. Those are located there. Let's see. Going down the list. Web design, layout best practices. Would love an entire session talking about accessibility as well. Yeah. Okay. That is great to know. As new information about best practices for website comes about, it'd be great to hear about it. That is something that I think we can try to work in a little bit more into these sessions. There's probably things that we're hearing about and we just don't realize it might be helpful for our users. So we'll try to note those. Thank you, Linda. Um, long
I'll say,
tail edge cases. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, sorry, I'll say this about we get a lot of questions. I get this question a lot. I think Jenna does too, but I get this question a lot about like, how can I do better? How can I make it better?
Yeah.
Show me some of the things that are good. Um, Website design is very subjective. And what is good to me won't always be good to everybody else. I literally had this conversation yesterday with a group that was asking me the same question. I'm an exceptionally minimalist designer. So good to me is clean and simple. Good to other people is, flashy, popping, lots of things happening on the page. So when somebody says, is that good? I would always answer, no, but that's my perspective on it. So the thing that I will always encourage you as admins, editors, designers, general, digital content delivery individuals, you have to know what your audience needs. You have to know how they can consume it because me telling you what's good means nothing to the people that you're trying to deliver that content to. So the more you know about your audience, the more you know what they need, that will help guide some of those questions that you're going to ask us, which is like, how do I build that menu out? Well, what do your people need? Those are the types of things that should go on your menu. What should my homepage look like? Well, what are the primary things that you want to deliver to your audience? You should start with the homepage to highlight some of those things. So, I'm going to say it broadly now. I'm more than happy to have this conversation one on one with people and have those individual chats about it. But really, it's going to be this answer. What do the people who are coming to your website need? How often are they going to the places where you think they should be going? Why aren't they going to the places where you think they should be going? So those types of conversations will come into play. And then we start talking about analytics. We start talking about, you know, questions that you might want to ask your users and things like that. Like there's a broad world of user experience that goes into play that some of us have like we've taken courses on and things like that, and I'm more than happy to have those conversations. But it's so hard when people ask me, can you show me a good website? Because I'll always show you the WiscWeb website and say it's simple, it's what our audience needs, but it might not be work for what you're doing there. So
Yeah, and we are, I think the thing is like we need to refresh content there and probably do some discovery there as well. So like maybe that's a good approach as we can take a look at that and see what we learn. Um, long tail edge cases and examples to stretch your imagination. Things that make you go, hmm. That makes me go, hmm. And I'm already starting to think about some things that we could share there. So that's a good one. Definitely appreciate the roadmap and updates and WordPress core that affect things. Thanks for featuring the brand site. UMark has done a great job. I agree. Something for individuals that are new to campus. We kind of talked about that, but we will definitely take a look at that a little bit more. And thank you, Beth. I will be reaching out to learn more about that. Current best practices for alt tag content. It seems to be changing. It does, yes, I think it can evolve. Yes, definitely we can. I think the thing is that we are not the experts on alt text here, but we do know some folks that are, and we can try to point you in the right direction, I think is what we want to do. Um, let's see, not sure if this is the right forum, but any process advice or best practices you may have for groups that are redesigning your site. Great idea. Yes. Menu structure, that would be really helpful. User experience, yes. I do think we can offer guidance there. That is a great addition. Let's see. Yes. Would you ever do a session on how to gather the information you just talked about? Yes. I think there's oh man, there's so much to unpack there. I would say in the realm of things like Google Analytics is not a tool that our service technically supports for campus. Um, so we are definitely, it's like a best effort approach for us, and there's so much there. Um, what I would really recommend is there's great training right from Google on these tools, but it is hard. There's a Google practitioners group. I shared a link in the up above that has the communities of practice. I would really recommend joining that group if you're interested in diving into Google Analytics a little bit more. But generally, I think we can kind of chat about the ideas that Matt said was like, here's some things that you might want to start doing for your site. We just might not get into the nitty gritty of exactly how to do that in Google Analytics 4. Audience analysis is critical and overlooked. Yes, it definitely is. You are 100% correct. Other things, anything else folks want to learn more about in these sessions? Great feedback. Thank you so much for adding these notes. This is incredibly helpful.
Yeah, and again, I think we have this conversation often enough. If you're like in the process of thinking about a redesign, that's a good time to reach out to us and kind of chat about what potentially could be done, how to better meet some needs. I'm always a fan of go out and find something that you like, share it with me, and then let me figure out if I can do it in WiscWeb. I've done that a lot of times. I demoed, I think it was I can't remember. It might have been 2 months ago, last month. I can't remember, but I demoed the whole Google form to Google Sheet to WP data table thing. That was somebody reaching out to me and saying, "Hey, we
Yeah.
really need to do this." And I spent a few days poking and figured something out. I have another question in my queue right now about calendars and Google Forms. And so now I have to think about that for a little while and see if I can figure something out there as well.
I do that as well. Like on my test site, when I'm trying to build things for you all, I will go find something in the wild and then try to recreate it as closely as I can with UW theme. And it teaches me so much about different ways to lay out content. It's very helpful. Um, but yeah, we can try to mix that in a little bit more. I also want to just say, like, if you have general questions for us, this is also a time that you can ask questions. So feel free. I know it's kind of like high pressure to be on camera, so it's okay to post it in the chat, but this is a time where we can answer questions for you as well.
Or we could roll up D&D characters together.
Solid yes.
If you're looking for some social time,
I
you have
literally
9 minutes.
I have 4d6 here, and I just literally throughout the day will pick them up and randomly roll a Dungeons and Dragons character. It's just what I do. I have lots of fidget things. People will see when I'm on camera. I have a weighted ball here that is used for like baseball warm-ups. I have a baseball that I just kind of use for like different pitches. And I have my D6s that I just roll throughout the day. When your brain can't stop.
I think we can wrap the recording here, but we can hang out in here if anyone has questions. Thank
Yep.
you
All right,
all.
thanks for attending, everybody.